I really want to get started, too, by talking about the news that drove the euro down this morning. Again, more rhetoric coming out of Mario Draghi, the head of the European Central Bank, designed to drive down the euro, talking about expanding the QE program, making it even bigger, including a two-tiered system. I mean, whatever he's talking about, he's trying to get the markets to think that they're going to go even bigger. Right? Even though they have very easy monetary policy, we're going to ease it up even more. Right? We have negative interest rates, but they're not negative enough. And why is it that Mario Draghi is so determined to talk down the euro and to talk up inflation? And it's because he is in pursuit of the holy grail of Keynesian economics, modern Keynesian economics, inflation. Right? If only we can succeed in increasing the cost of living at a faster pace than it is currently rising, then we can create prosperity, right? This is the modern day thinking, that if we can just get the cost of food to go up a little bit faster, if we can just have the cost of shelter to go up a little bit faster, if we can just get the cost of energy to go up a little bit more, we can get the cost of healthcare, clothing, education. If we could just get all the bills that the average European gets or incurs every day, every month, if we could just get those bills to go up a little bit quicker, right? A little bit faster. If we could just make life a little bit more expensive for everybody across the board, then it's going to be fantastic. Then everything's going to be great. We're going to have more economic growth. We're going to have more employment. Everything's going to be great if we could just get prices to rise a little bit faster. Not too much faster, mind you, just a little bit faster. And we're willing to do anything, whatever it takes, even imposing negative interest rates on depositors, which, you would think that if consumers are having a tough time, if you start charging them for their bank accounts, I mean, isn't just going to add to the problem if now they have to pay for something that at least used to be free, or in fact used to pay them, right? If you used to be able to earn interest on your bank deposits, now they're talking about not only getting no interest, but having to write your bank a check for having a bank account. Somehow that's not going to have any negative effect. And of course, believing that a rising cost of living is, the secret sauce of economic growth, right? If you believe that, then the corollary is what's holding back prosperity is that prices are not rising fast enough, right? That this is the biggest problem. That because food or energy or shelter or clothing or education or healthcare, because these costs are rising too slowly, it's screwing up everything. Like these people are sitting around in France, and what's really worrying them and bothering them, it's not so much the terrorist attacks, it's that they're the latte that they're sipping is not expensive enough, or where they just bought a baguette and it's only a little bit more expensive than the baguette they bought last year, and they're just thinking, I wish this thing could cost even more. If it could just be 2% more expensive as opposed to 1%, my life would be so much better. Everything would be better if only the cost of this piece of bread was higher, or the sauce that is going to be on my on my meal. If I could just get this, I mean, does anybody believe this? But of course, you look at all the stories, look at all the articles, search the internet for all the articles today about the ECB and about inflation, and nobody is critical. Nobody points out the lunacy of this. All of this simply to get the CPI to rise a little bit faster than it's already rising. It's not even falling. It's rising just slowly. And these clowns are saying, we just want to make it rise a little bit faster. Why don't they just do this? Why don't they just impose a tax? Why don't they just increase the VAT? If they think it's so important that prices be higher, well, just raise the VAT. It's real simple. Why do it this roundabout way? Why do it by printing a bunch of money, buying a bunch of government bonds? If your real goal is to get consumers to spend more money when they buy stuff, just increase the VAT. You can increase the VAT a little bit every year, and presto, you got exactly the amount of inflation that you want if your real goal is to raise prices. But you see, that's not really their goal. Because if it was their goal, they would just raise the VAT. See, their real goal is to wipe out debt. Their real goal is to lower real wages. But they can't come out and say that, so they got to make up this nonsense. But the problem is everybody lets them get away with it. Academia lets them get away with it. All the journalists let them get away with it. Nobody calls out the central bankers on the ridiculous nature of what they're asserting, that prosperity comes from making things more expensive, when it's actually the reverse. Prosperity comes from reducing costs. That's where standard livings grow. It's when the things that you need, when the things that you want become less expensive and therefore more affordable. Since nobody has an unlimited amount of money, your consumption is limited by your income. And what can help your income grow is your cost of living going down. As things get cheaper, you can buy more stuff. And things that you couldn't afford become affordable. Like, I always use the example of cell phones. Cell phones used to be very expensive, and only the rich people were able to buy them. Now, everybody, even poor people, you get your free Obama phone, but anybody can afford a cell phone nowadays, right? Yet, at one point, it was the privilege of the very few, not even the 1%. I mean, even the 1% of the 1% initially had cell phones. But they're so ubiquitous now because the price went down. And if the price had gone up, if the first cell phone had been the cheapest cell phone and the price had just gone up, even if it only went up 2% a year, nobody would own cell phones. Everybody owns them because the price went down. And the same thing is true for everything in the economy. Falling prices is what lifts standards of living. It's what really increases demand. And falling prices result from a productive economy. That's what happens. Inflation results from government meddling, government interference, and it doesn't make things better. It only makes things worse.